Jon Moxley Darby Allin ear thing. So this was AEW Forbidden Door in the O2 in London 2025. That's in the books. That's done. I know for a fact you didn't watch it, but we've watched a few spots together beforehand.
Where did they have that? Where did they have the actual arena? Was it an inside arena?
Yeah. The O2 is within the old Millennium Dome. So it's part of a larger complex, but it's still like a nearly 20,000 or around that seat arena.
I've been in there. It's a big building.
So at Forbidden Door this weekend, one of the more memorable spots, shall we say, is Jon Moxley and Darby Allin. And we watched it just before we started recording. What did you see, Dutch, and what did you think of it?
Was that when he was tied up?
When he was tied up, Darby Allin was tied up, duct taped to the chair.
And what did he have? What did he have on his ear, or what was he trying to? What kind of tool was that?
No, the Abdullah the Butcher special.
Oh my God, it was brutal looking because he was tied up. His arms tied down, so he couldn't get up to it, and he had something on his ear, working on it, and it was brutal. But I think sometimes that works against you. It's almost too brutal. And, you know, there are some parents who like to peruse what their kids are watching, and that's not for a kid to watch. So what if a kid watched that and knew where the toolbox was, and he went, and all of a sudden he's trying out on his little sister's ear right there, right in front of you, because he just saw it on TV. But I don't much like spots like that because it's too brutal. I think you can be too brutal in your presentation that it turns people off. I don't think a lot of people want to see the blood and the agony of some guy getting his ear chewed off by a damn screwdriver or whatever they had.
You got a fork in the forehead more than once, didn't you?
I told Abdullah one time, I said, you bring that damn fork out there. And I said, I am sticking it up your rear end. You know, if you talk to Abdullah, you know, you see him, but when you hear his voice, you go, what the hell? He sounds like this. Hey, champ. How you doing, champ? He's got a really high-pitched voice. How you doing? How you doing, champ? You think, wow, for such a brutal-looking guy, and you hear his voice, it doesn't match him at all. So, yeah, I've taken the fork and I've taken all that stuff, and you know, working with Abdullah, I mean, you're going to do Abdullah's match regardless, because he's 400 pounds or he's way over 350. But if he don't want to do something, he just not going to do it. And I'm not strong enough to pick the guy up. I don't think many people are. I think Bruiser Brody would have a hard time picking him up, and Stan Hansen, because, and of course, Abdullah was never known as a big bump taker anyway. But he was. You have to do Abby's match, or it's not going to get done. So if you go out there, just prepare yourself to get the crap beat out of you and to make one comeback. And it's a simple formula. Carlos asked me one time, he says, that's when I was booking it. He said, what do you want me and Abby to do? I says, well, I guess do the same stuff you do. He's like, what? I said, how many times you work with Abdullah? And he said, I don't know, 1,000. I says, do the same thing you did always. Just go out there, have a big fight all over the place, bleed all over everybody, and then we'll just double DQ it and throw it out. And Carlos said, okay, champ, okay. And that's what they did. I said, I don't know any other finish that you guys could do. And I said, do you want to do something else? He said, no, that's good. That's good. So, and that was his match every time, you know, just fight all over the floor, fight up in the crowd a little bit and closer to them. And then I saw him one time get out of the ring No, I don't think both of them got in the ring. I think Carlos got in the ring and Abdullah come out and they started on the floor for the rest of the match, and neither one of them got back into the ring. And of course, it went the obligatory, I don't know, 7 or 8 minutes, and then they wrapped it up and they went home.
Do you think, because you said it was too gruesome, you know, it's one thing to do it in the forehead, where I guess, you know, wrestling fans are used to. It's another thing to pierce another human's ear with a fork. It definitely is more gruesome. Do you think that wrestling shows can get away with more on pay-per-view than they can on television? Because obviously they don't have to worry as much about sponsors.
Oh, yeah.
and you're not really worrying about anyone accidentally flicking onto something gruesome. You know what you're going to get when you buy a pay-per-view or you watch a pay-per-view. So in that sense, is your opinion, yes, it was too gruesome for your taste, but since it was on pay-per-view, it was fine? Or would you just counsel not going that far with anything?
Well, on pay-per-view, it is different. And saying for me, okay, say I was a booking show and I had Abdullah on it. Hey, I know Abdullah's going to use everything he can find, and he's going to use it. So if you don't want him using it, just go ahead and just take everything away from ringside that he could use and go from there. But now I use Puerto Rico as a backdrop. Puerto Rico, anything went. It just went. They could do anything they wanted to do. They didn't have any rules. And one of the reasons I think they didn't say more to the wrestling companies, because the ratings were always, even when it was down, the ratings were always in the 6 and 7 range. You know, you do a 6 or 7 range here in the States, I mean, that's great. That's the best they've ever done, a 6. But you do a 6 in Puerto Rico back then, and of course the TV setup was, distribution was a little bit different then, or was a lot different then. But you do a 6 down there in wrestling, that they kick you off. They expect that to do at least over a 10. And the highest I think I ever did was, and Carlos told me this, he said we did a 22 one week, a 22. And I always thought, wait a minute, all these commercials you guys are selling, who's getting all the money for that? Oh, well, we don't get anything of it. I said, Books, get the hell out of here. Don't tell me that. And he still stood by it, but because I'm saying, well, wait a minute, I need a little bit of a bump in pay here if you're doing a 22. Yeah, but they didn't. That's the last thing they want to hear. Oh, I need more money. So, but anyway.
Hey, you left. Then you left.
Continue. You know, some things are okay on pay-per-view and they're not okay on free TV.
Okay, there was one other thing on the match that I watching. It was Young Bucks. So early in the match, they've already been stripped of their EVP status since they lost to Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay in a stipulation match. They entered the ring to the strains of Hanson's Bop, which apparently was one giant inside joke that at least the commentators clued us in as to why that music was playing. But, anyway, that was good.
Why was it playing?
Apparently that was the first theme song they ever had, which if the commentators hadn't clued me in, nobody would have got that reference, or maybe like 1% of the people buying the pay-per-view would have got the reference. Anyway, early in the match, one of the Bucks, they're looking very, very similar at the moment, so I can't tell you which one is which, reached under the ring. They grabbed a canvas bag that usually indicates it's going to be broken glass or it's going to be thumbtacks or whatever, and instead they poured some gummy bears on the canvas instead. I thought it was hilarious. Stevie didn't like it at all. What do you think?
I don't like it. So it was a rib, right?
Yeah, right. Okay, so what it is that since they lost their EVP status, now that their entrances are getting messed up and somebody's out to get them kind of thing all the way through. And this was another way of somebody being out to get the Young Bucks.
Okay, did the people understand what was going on?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, if they understood it, that's okay. But I'm saying if they reached under there and they expected a weapon like thumbtacks and they poured them out and it was like, what did you say, gummy bears? Or what?
You saw that and you said, do they have marijuana in them?
No, I'm saying, but some of them do, right? A gummy, they're chewables.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's what I was saying, because I don't know anything about that.
Don't try a strong one. That's my advice to you.
So you've tried them?
Oh God, yeah. And I tell you what, right? I tried a really, really strong one, and
You
it's like
dopehead.
it's a
You're
white
just a
knuckle,
big dopehead.
dude. It's a white knuckle ride you can't get off of. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're on a roller coaster
Yeah.
and you can't get off it. If you get the dose wrong, man, then you're in for a
Wait,
couple of hours of misery.
you're giving all our listeners some advice on what kind of over-the-counter drugs that they can buy.
It's not over the counter here. It's not legal here.
Is it legal in the U.S.?
Depends on the state, but I think the majority of states is legal now. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't do that. I don't even drink anymore.
Boring bastard.
That is boring. Yes, it is. I need to start.
Yeah, it makes the evenings fly by. A good bit of home drinking.
Okay.
I can't recommend it enough.
But back to the gummies in the ring. Yeah, if everybody knew what it was, that's fine. But I could tell that it was a thumbtacks, but are they saying that they're out trying to mess the Bucks up, right? So that was some of their enemies putting that there, right?
Yes.
Planning.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it.